The Mama and the Papa. June 25, 1967, the night of the first live international satellite television broadcast. The Beatles have just sung All You Need Is Love to a worldwide audience. Hippie culture is sweeping the globe. Mama Nature celebrates in a San Francisco bar. But someone isn't happy.
All you need is love, love, love. Love, love, love.
So they say.
Oh my God. In person?
Shh, don't blow my cover.
Solid. Dig your threads.
Perhaps I should have adopted a disguise.
Oh, don't sweat it. You'll blend right in with the hippies and the stoners.
Infernal copycats.
I haven't seen you down here in ages. What brings you to hate Ashbury of all places?
We have a crisis on our hands, Mama Nature.
What have they done this time? Not worshipping golden dogies again?
Oh, this is far more serious.
Lay it on me.
I assume you watched television tonight.
Yeah, what a blast! The Fab Four were out of sight.
On the contrary, they were viewed by an audience of 400 million.
Unreal!
And what's the message they're spreading? All you need is love.
Love, love, love.
A euphemism to get past the network censors. Everybody knows what they're really advocating.
Oh, don't be a square, Daddy-o.
I'm no prude. Be fruitful and multiply. That's what I always say.
Then what's your hang-up?
Well, they can fornicate as much as they like, with my blessing, as long as they procreate.
Don't flip your wig, man.
Did you see what was on the cover of Time magazine a few weeks ago?
Hugh Hefner.
Him too, but I'm referring to the birth control pill.
Oh, far out! That's a gas for women. Sets them free.
Oh, not when combined with free love. It's a recipe for extinction.
Hang loose. They're just having fun.
Well, they're ripping me off. The deal is I give them multiple orgasms and they perpetuate the species.
People are still reproducing.
For how much longer? Well, I'm not prepared to take the risk. I must intervene.
No way, Jose. Don't you dare.
Well, they leave me no choice. Time for a smiting.
Are you out of your tree? You know you've got a wrath management problem.
Oh, I need to protect my investment. Creating humanity took eons. I didn't just dash it off in an afternoon.
Look, if the birth rate slows down a smidge, where's the harm? The planet's overpopulated.
No, it isn't. Have you surveyed the Sahara lately? Or Antarctica?
Those are hardly hospitable environments.
Oh, they won't hospitable now, do they? Spoiled brats. They're overdue for a plague.
Here, have a hit.
Boils on the genitals. Oozing pus.
You've already done that one in the Bible.
Oh, an oldie, but a goodie.
If you re-release it, they'll just invent industrial strength condoms. How will that help your grand plan?
I knew it was a mistake giving them brains.
Come and have a drink.
I will not be outwitted by my own creatures.
Chill, man. It's the summer of love. Go with the flow. You want to try some LSD?
I keep that stuff away from me. I need a clear head.
You need an open mind. Psychedelic experiences are where it's at.
I'm disappointed in you, Mama. I thought you were the spirit of the natural world.
You can only get so high on weed.
All this experimenting with drugs. It's absolutely... Hold on. Two can play at that game. I'll spike their contraceptive pills with placebos.
What?
We'll have mass pregnancies everywhere.
Sounds way underhanded, not your style.
You're right. I can't be seen to be involved. It would reflect on my patriarchal gravitas. You'll have to do it.
Me?
Well, the physical world is your realm.
I'm happy to do floods, cyclones, or earthquakes, but tampering with pharmaceutical products, not my scene, man.
Need I remind you how this works? You are merely the expression of my will, and my will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
This is a nightmare and a half.
Let's see. Who's in town for the Monterey Festival? Jimi Hendrix and Cass Elliot, Ravi Shankar, Janis Joplin. Such possibilities. If only Mick Jagger was here.
He was invited, but the establishment refused him a work visa. Drug charges.
People can be so intolerant.
Listen, man, you haven't thought this through. When all these women realize they're knocked up, they'll go ape. Backstreet abortionists will have lines around the block.
I'll declare human life sacred from the moment of conception.
You're going to make a public announcement booming down from the sky?
Of course not. I have to maintain my aura of mystery. I'll work through my pastors as usual.
You might hit some opposition there. Martin Luther King preaches Planned Parenthood.
So do I. But my plan for parenthood is far more ambitious. It just might take a while to get the message across.
And in the meantime, how many women are you condemning to death by dirty knitting needles? Aren't their lives sacred too?
Fair point. I'd like to avoid any accidents. You said these women will take drastic measures once they realize they're expecting?
Mm-hmm.
What if they don't realize?
There are certain physical changes that tell a woman she's pregnant.
Well, I'm sure you have the skill to make it bleeding obvious she isn't.
You want me to fake menstruation? All over the world?
Well, you agreed to do floods.
I've got a bad vibe about this.
Only beef for several months until it's too late for a termination.
They'll see their belly swelling before then.
Well, they'll blame a failed diet.
And when the baby starts kicking?
Indigestion.
So one day they have their period as usual, and the next they discover they're practically full term?
Well, the new mothers will experience an epiphany. They'll believe they've been touched by the divine.
They'll freak out, all right.
Well, these miracle births will be a wake-up call for the whole planet.
Turning everyone religious?
Well, it will be nice to be appreciated again.
Don't be modest. They'll adore you.
So they should.
Oh, I can see it all now. A new generation will grow up knowing they're truly the children of God. They'll devote their lives to prayer and veneration.
High time.
They'll renounce the pleasures of the flesh and pledge a vow of chastity.
Hold on.
All they need is you.
They do need to keep breeding.
Sex, Dullsville. Can't compete with the ecstasy of divine love. Spirituality's the ultimate trip, man. The highest.
Even so.
Ooh, right on. It's starting already.
What?
A woman over there. She's been staring at you ever since you walked in. Obviously dazzled by your magnificence. She hasn't even glanced at her husband. Ooh.
Really?
Ooh, and she's not the only one. There's a group over there. Heavy. Every person in this bar has their eyes on you.
I knew I should have gone for invisibility.
Oh, soon they'll be joining convents and monasteries.
Damnation. How did this happen?
I'm afraid you've upset the natural balance of the universe. Normally, everyone remains blissfully deluded, imagining their partner is someone ultra groovy, even though statistically half of them must suffer below average grooviness.
Oh, that romantic love hoax of yours? I always thought that was beneath you.
It worked, man. Kept the population booming. No contraceptive device stood a chance till you showed up with your irresistible charm.
I appear to have underestimated myself.
That's not like you.
What if I abandon my scheme and make a discreet exit?
Well, without you manifesting yourself in all your glory, I suspect things will return to normal with a bit of mopping up.
Would you mind? Not my area.
Leave it to me. I'll catch you on your next visit.
Oh, that might be a while. Best play it safe.
Cats! Chicks! Up for an experiment? Turn to your partner and gaze into their eyes. Bet you feel a high that'll totally blow your mind.
Have you heard anything? Have any of you heard anything?
Not even a text.
What about you, Peggy?
What you all want to know about little old me?
Has Emily contacted you?
Well, no, but she wouldn't contact me.
Well, why not?
Well, we never have been that close. Miranda's closer to her than I am.
Actually, we aren't that close. I haven't heard from her since the Obama campaigns.
Wait a second. Aren't we all friends? How could one of us just disappear?
Well, there's been a few cocktails since high school days, and even a few blackouts.
Yeah, but we've always stayed in contact. I talk to each of you almost every single month. We're the same people.
You've kept us together, but Rose, not one of us is the same person.
I have to say, I am not the same. I have found the person I was supposed to be, and the Lord has shown me who I am.
Oh, Lordy, help us.
Oh, he will if you let him.
I don't need no man helping me.
Who says he's a man?
Oh, why, of course our Heavenly Father is a man.
Oh, you're just buying into the male narrative.
Oh, only a man could be the creator. Only a man is powerful enough to produce all the wonders we have.
Only a woman could be spiritual enough to create paradise.
Woman, man, I don't get why there has to be any power greater than ourselves.
Because we aren't perfect. In all his glory, he is perfect. There is nothing more powerful than our Lord.
Well, I believe there is nothing more powerful than people working together towards a common cause. I've seen it.
So, how's saving the world going?
one cause at a time.
So, still in Alabama?
Actually, I'm in Flint,
Second, where's Flint?
Michigan.
Wait, what happened to Alabama?
Protest was peaceful. The officer got 14 years, and the family is suing the city.
Only 14 years.
Yes. Manslaughter.
At least it's over.
But it isn't. You know, this one case doesn't change anything.
Of course not. If it did, what would you do with yourself?
What do you mean by that?
Crusaders need a crusade.
There's nothing wrong with wanting to help others. There is always someone, some cause that needs someone to fight for it.
You go, girl. You go out there and kick some butt.
Well, violence leads nowhere. We should all practice turning the other cheek.
Tell that to your man in the White House while he's sitting on it. He can kiss mine where the sun don't shine.
President Trump is a crusader with God at his back. He's fighting for us all.
Well, he ain't in his tax bracket. All he sees is green, and we don't even have enough of it.
Oh, no, he has a plan for us all.
Oh, yeah, I got the plan all right. I've got his remedy right here. So anytime you want a Trump cocktail, I got you.
You all know he wasn't serious about that. I mean, he said so.
You mean he recanted after it was pointed out what an insane suggestion it was?
Right.
Yeah, and I wonder how many people followed his suggestion.
Oh, no, no one would do that.
Well, anyone who voted for him would be a bleach drinker.
Oh, you all just being funny again. You all know I voted for him.
Rose, where are you going?
Was it something we said?
Maybe she had to go to the little girl's room.
Oh, she had to pee. She'd have told us.
Maybe the other thing.
Rose, what are you doing?
Rose, we're still here.
Doing a little housework?
Rose, are you okay?
What?
Rose, by the window cleaning.
Because it was dirty.
Yes, but why now? Why in the middle of our talk?
Well, I don't know. All this talk about bleach. Lately, whenever Trump name comes up, all I could think about is how dirty thing has gotten.
Well, when you're done with your windows, come on over to Flint. Maybe you can clean up the river.
If anyone can do it, it's Rose.
I like to help, but you know, this COVID thing really concerns me.
It's just people panicking. 20,000 people die of the flu every year.
Oh, no, this seems different.
Oh, for one, Linda and I agree. This has just been fabricated to ruin Trump's presidency.
Well, that's not what I said.
You think China is willing to kill off its population just to make Trump look bad?
Why, yes. Our president is negotiating the import deals and China doesn't like it.
And they would kill Chinese citizens to do it.
We are talking about a country that limited their births to 1 per family. This way they take care of 2 problems at the same time.
Okay, no country cares that much about our president. They all know the worst thing that could happen is we get stuck with a loser for 8 years. Then we move on.
Oh, yeah, unless he declares national law and ends open elections.
If that happens, I'll be drinking the Trump cocktails.
Oh, no, don't just joke about things like that.
You're right. No man's worth killing yourself over. If I'm going to drink, I'd rather go out and enjoy my alcohol.
If that ever happens, I will be in the middle of the protest.
I'll drink to that. Revolution.
Speaking of which, I have to go. I need to meet with a group in Benton Harbor.
Wait,
What?
I
It
thought
is.
the issue was in Flint.
Well, it is, but Benton Harbor is experiencing also.
Oh, okay. So it's nice seeing you, but be careful out there.
I will.
And don't drink the water.
I won't.
Unless it's a 40% alcohol and it'll go down, girl.
I will. Bye, all. Till next time.
There goes our fearless leader.
She is fearless. What's your deal with Miranda?
No deal.
She's out there, doing the good fight and taking personal risks to accomplish it.
Just don't think her motivations are always altruistic.
Why?
I don't want to get into it. It was work stuff.
No, you should definitely talk about it. Anger can weigh heavily on your soul.
I'm not angry. I just don't have her up on a pedestal like the rest of you do.
Only the Lord is my pedestal.
Oh, I hope she's careful. I wouldn't want her to disappear like Emily.
I'm sure Emily will show up.
Oh, I hope so.
Let's pray for her. Are we all praying for Emily or Miranda?
I'm sure you can handle both. I, on the other hand, need to get on with my day. Gotta go. Till next time.
Until next time, cheers. Rose, are you done? Okay, till next time.
Amen. Hello? That's it.
Did we lose Steven?
No, he's there.
No.
I'm here.
Okay.
Probably going to start hearing some feedback again because I'm upstairs and Laura's downstairs.
Ah.
Well, like I said, it was a short one.
Good fun.
Next month, I'm going to be submitting a script for the Halloween season. Jackie Custis will be starring in that. And I was wondering, Paul, are you going to be submitting anything for October?
Yeah, I was thinking to do the therapy script with the therapist and the mandated youth. I was going to go with that.
Okay. And Paul Uller, would you like to do the script with Jackie Custis?
Wait, and which script is it?
I haven't submitted it yet, but it's for October. It's
Sure.
It's called a Flicker of Life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
right.
Wonderful.
On my October set. Well, Rex, how did that go for you?
I really enjoyed the performances, really came to life.
Yeah.
I've only seen one previous performance of this play. I wrote it a few years ago, but I haven't submitted it very widely because of possible controversy, but I thought this would be a nice forum to present it.
Really loved that concept. I thought the concept of it was so good. And of course, as always, I shouldn't roll my eyes because it's great that you're that talented. But of course, as always, Rex, your execution as a writer and presenting the idea that you had was A+. If I were judging, which I'm not judging, but A+.
So Rex, I guess I can understand because you're taking a time period. It was just I'm just curious to me, since you're in New Zealand, why not present it from a New Zealand perspective? I guess you wanted to get kind of with the '60s and the Haight-Ashbury time. Was that it?
Yeah, it's also just there are limited options for short plays in New Zealand. And when I do write one that has a New Zealand setting, it's not really transferable to the US without making a whole lot of changes. So these days I try to write things that will work in the US and with some adaptation in the UK.
I think that would be interesting, though, for you to present something from a New Zealand perspective, just to see how you react to it. I think that.
Yeah, maybe this is a good forum. Maybe next week we could do one. I've actually got one that's called Rabbit Warns Gannet. So it's another animal play, but it's in New Zealand. Rabbits are pests because they're introduced mammals. So an elderly rabbit confronts a young gannet who's just learning to fly. So I think that might be a good one, but it does have some Maori words in it, which in New Zealand we have Maori words for children and family, etc. So I might leave them in and just see if it works.
Okay.
There's only a few. Yeah, it might be a good one to do.
Yeah. Did you want your audience to know off the bat that Paul was God, or did you want that to kind of we kind of figure it out? Because when he first starts talking to him, I wasn't sure. I was thinking maybe he's Jesus, but then I realized as he's talking, it's God, and I was just wondering if that's how you wanted to present it.
I think I'm assuming that when she says "Oh my God" in person, that they would prick from there. Yeah.
Well, I thought Mother Nature was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was my kind of Mother Nature. Nah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jackie. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, I just thought she was awesome.
Oh, yes. So, piggybacking on that,
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I don't tend to think of it as it's happening each time, but just now when Jackie made mention of how awesome your Mother Nature was, Rex, I was struck by the fact that you always write whole women, if you know what I mean by that. Let me see if I can find your picture so I can see your, okay. Yeah, the women that you write, because I've worked with you 3 times. I was in I directed one, and then I was in one, maybe only 2 or 3. And then of course I've seen several in this forum, and you always have, it's never a boys club. Not that there's anything wrong with boys, but as we all know, traditionally speaking, particularly in the theater, there's been an overabundance of male roles and fewer female roles. And then even when there are female roles, they're ancillary characters. And that is literally never the case with your writing. In fact, more often than not, the female is the central figure in your pieces. And
That's very true.
You do it in a way that's got no agenda, so that I literally just realized that on Jackie's comment. All this time I've been exposed to your work, I didn't consciously realize it, but you do that, and so you're making space. And as a female actor and an alpha type at that, I thank you. Yeah,
that's I've got several strands. So a kind of feminist strand is woven through my work. In fact,
Yeah.
I've written a series of short plays where I've taken classic books like Great Expectations and War and Peace and done them from a female perspective. So they not only have female characters, for that series, no males are even mentioned. So if you can imagine War and Peace being done by a Natasha and a Sonia and a Princess Mary, it's just a lot of fun, just having a new slant. And it was quite a challenge too to do that, but I enjoy a challenge. I set myself these challenges.
It's working. And so what it's also doing, which you probably know, even if you didn't deliberately set out to do it, but what you are also doing is you're creating a voice. So like, when your work gets studied one day, this will be one of the things that people talk about in your writing.
Any other
Thanks
comments?
so much.
Gigi, how'd you like playing the part?
Any excuse to get high, man.
And she had a drink in her hand.
Oh, do not record that. I teach middle school. Stop.
Already recorded.
No,
Those parts were so hard for me to write because I'm a total teetotaler. I've never even put a cigarette in my mouth.
So am I. So am I.
Go.
No, I loved playing her because I love the period. I love the historical references. The freedom of her, and the juxtaposition of her and God. I love it, and I love Rex's writing too. I have to agree with Miranda. Miranda. No,
It's Sean.
It's Sean. I was like, your name is not Miranda.
Your subconscious mind was working for you, though. Your subconscious mind was like, something's off.
No.
Something right.
I loved it. And I love working with Paul.
And Paul, so how many times have you had the opportunity to play God?
Huh?
How many opportunities have you had to play God?
This is my first.
You commanded it well.
Oh, thank you.
Paul Suris, you had your hand up.
Big shoes to fill, aren't they?
Steve, I have just two quick observations, but first, I'm going to sing the praises as well. A well-written piece, and Rex, we always enjoy your stuff. I've seen at least 3 of your pieces and acted in one, so yeah, you're a wonderful writer, and I like your imagination of putting Mother Nature together with God the Father there. Two quick pieces, 2 things that I was trying to wrap my head around, and one was the idea that as the play opens, the idea of God spouting the belief that you only have sex to procreate. That's actually a very Catholic notion, and it's not necessarily across the boards, in terms of other Christian religions, in terms of, it's mostly a Catholic piece. So I just wonder about pigeonholing it. Again, it's good fun, and it's where everything starts. But I wonder if I just wonder about that piece. So that's one. And then the second observation was at the end, towards the end, when they're observing, all of a sudden, Mother Nature says that everybody's looking at you. I'm assuming they were in a bar, but I didn't necessarily know they were in a bar. I didn't necessarily know that up front. I might have missed something there, but all of a sudden, like, I wonder if you need a little introduction to why is everybody looking at God all of a sudden? If there needs to be something to bring attention to why is everybody suddenly looking at God? So that was the other question I had for the piece. But like I said, it was a wonderful piece. But those 2 items, maybe maybe need something to trigger them or release them. That's just a thought. Just a thought.
Thanks, Paul.
Was it just his aurora that was around him, his obvious magnificence that everybody got attracted to?
Yeah, because I would think he would shine no matter where he's at.
Yeah, why didn't they see him right from the beginning? Maybe at one point he starts yelling, and then that has everybody looking, because now all of a sudden God's yelling. But I think something to set it apart, that all of a sudden people are looking at him, might be helpful.
Yeah, because I didn't even know they were in the bar at the very beginning. It was
I could have mentioned that. I think it's in the stage directions. If it was produced on stage, it was set in the bar. So I was sort of assuming that, but maybe that was an assumption that should have been made clearer for this reading. So when I do another reading, I'll mention that they're in a bar.
Okay. And that's one of the great things about this group, is that
that's good
kind of feedback. Yeah. So we're going to go on to the Real Real Housewives, episode 3. Any questions? And Leslie, I want to thank you for taking on that character. You came in on the 3rd episode of that character.
He was really good at it.
Yeah. I think you really brought that character to life. And we know Sean and Jules will always bring something to that character too. Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for giving us something fun to play with.
Yeah.
I think we got to read it 3 times, including the performance, and it changed all 3 times for me. It was great. And I think it's in a tribute to the script and these ladies. I think everybody was just really generous, and I really appreciate it. But we found something all 3 times, and it was so interesting, just these little layers. And then Stephen, the backstory that we've talked about too, just adds that other little kind of buzzing underneath the surface of how to have the relationship and consider the relationships that I do have, that Peggy does have.
Yeah, that's the big thing for me with playing Miranda that helps bring it to life for me when we're doing it, is I have a very strong and different opinion of each of the other ladies, as opposed to just banter or repartee or just saying whatever. It's the thing that I feel about Jules, the thing that I feel, Peggy. I love Jules. But what I feel about Peggy, what I feel about Jazzy's my girl, right? Like, she's my heart. Every single time she talks, I just want more of that. And so
that's because she's drunk all the time, and she's just.
Miranda loves that about Jazzy and Jazzy's Frenchness, right? Whereas Sean would be like, "Why is this bitch always drunk?"
Yeah.
Right? So it's
Miranda.
very fun to be able to play these dynamics with each of these other actresses. And
what I noticed too this time around was that Peggy tried to latch on to one of the other housewives, and it's the first time, because in the first 2 episodes she's constantly talking about Trump and God and he's a savior and This is the first time she says, Linda and I agree on something.
Mm-hmm.
And she reaches out to actually try to relate to one of them, I feel like, and then is like snapped down.
And then, of course, Linda shuts her down.
Right, exactly. And so I think it was so interesting this time, Stephen, how to play that and what happened throughout the episode.
Yeah, it's going to depend on how far the series goes, and if I bring out those to let the audience know, there are certain characters that I've given a backstory to that the other characters don't know about. And so I'm kind of playing with how to bring those backstories out and how soon to bring it out. And Leslie's character today started with it.
Yeah, that was so helpful when you gave me that. that little tidbit of information, that backstory, that was so helpful because I probably would have played it much differently if I didn't have that information. So thank you for that.
Sure.
You know, one device that might be helpful for that, and I'm very, very personally cautious about telling creators how to create their work, but I do want to throw this idea out there, actually, Stephen, in terms of a device to help with bringing out some of those backstories as you go further. You know, one of the things that we get to enjoy when we're watching actual television is the scene that'll happen between two characters that are part of a group that the other members of the group aren't privy to. And with this being set up as a perpetual Zoom call or a recurring Zoom call between these ladies, if there's some way for you to make like today when Rose had to leave to get the cleaning supplies, something that makes them have to others, and so that only two of them find themselves on the call at once, or two of them happen to get there early, and then this stuff comes out between them, and you have that soap opera moment, that Alexis Crystal Kobe Harrington moment. You know, that's something that can, and then the one that seems to make the most sense is it fleshing out a little bit in my head is rather than three of them for some reason just disappear from the call, two of them get there early, you know, at different times. And if you start doing it formulaic at all, you could start each episode with a bit of a teaser, not a bit of a teaser. Each episode has its teaser. And so each episode, there's some two, maybe three that come early, and we see something between just those two, those three, and then the other ones join the call, and then you get the rest of the episode. Not a writer, so take it with a grain of salt, but
no, it's an excellent suggestion. I did a little bit of that when your character left. And they tried to get some information from Peggy, but she wasn't ready to get
getting the information, and yes, absolutely, you did that. But dramatically speaking and entertainment wise, them trying to get information from her is a very different thing than watching me and her go at it.
Right.
Keeping her, watching her and I go at it, watching the two of us go at it.
Yeah, the two of us.
That's where the drama is. You want to see that action as opposed to hearing about it.
Well, that's going to happen. And there'll be some of that between you and Peggy. And Jazzy's probably going to get into it with
all of you.
with Peggy.
Yeah. Peggy, don't take it personal.
Oh, I never take anything personal here.
That was such a Peggy response.
Got the
well, it's Peggy I would be talking to. I would never talk to Jules like that.
I can't wait.
Yeah, Stephen. Now, I'm not as familiar with this recurring series as most of the people here in the group are. So just coming into it kind of cold. I was just wondering, Jules' character there. She's like the Trump Christian person. So I'm trying to figure out if what I saw her do today, she was praying for either somebody or somebody in the group. I was trying to figure out why the heck would she be hanging out with these non-believers and these non-Trump persons, and maybe that's been explained in previous, or do we just go with the concept that these women have been stuck together and so she has to stay with them? Because are these ladies friends?
Friends from
going
school.
into this?
Yeah,
Wow.
because even one of my lines is I mentioned high school again.
Oh wow! So I'm so impressed that with three of the four ladies, like really not not on the same page with Jules's character there. I'm just impressed that she would stay with them, and I'm trying to figure. Yeah, but Christians all the time push away from people.
We're friends, and she's trying to bring us on board, and we're trying to show her the way too.
Right.
So you should be like
trying to get them to come over to her side.
She used to not be all holier than thou. is
So
the
if
other.
he can be saved, we can be saved. And
Yeah.
also, she's a comedy Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is a bit broad. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
broad.
There's also
It's broad. A broad character there in the sense of not a. Yeah, I didn't see her as.
But at the same time,
But
I think if the
insightful.
foundation, the foundation of friendship has always been there for her,
Yeah.
that need to have friends, to have those people there, is the foundation for her. And I think that as a plus, it would be wonderful if she could introduce them to her Christian, her Christian revelations, what she has been brought to at this point. I think it's starting to break a little bit, just teeny tiny moments that are starting to prick, and that's my challenge as an actor, to start to truly react to what's being said to her, to when she is dismissed, because I think as humans, I think that it sometimes starts to come in and we don't notice it and it's unconscious, but then there are those quiet realizations when we're by ourselves. Do these girls actually like me? And why am I with, right?
And there's that.
And I think that's what maybe that's why I brought it up, is like, Jules, I think your character takes on so much more depth. And again, I just saw this one, so I haven't seen any other, so maybe I've missed a bunch. But I think her character becomes so much more insightful and has more depth. Like, you know, if she actually responds and is hurt by some of the things that are said, but she seems a bit broad to me and not very insightful on first glance. You know, just watching it today, and I think you can make that character really a wonderful character as she has more. I don't know if the right word is realistic responses to these women that are joking at her, teasing her.
I agree.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that, though. Here's the thing about that. And I appreciate Jules saying that she agrees because it is her character, not mine. But what also needs to come into play with that is, what is the piece that Stephen is writing? Because as of right now, we have been approaching it as though it's episodic comedy, 30-minute or 22-minute comedy. And with that, you have thinking without perspective. That's how you play episodic comedy. So even if those things might be under the surface or something that gets brought out later for Peggy, Jules can't play that and have it be true to that style of
style.
Well, I think you're talking styles, and I think you're talking it's broad comedy at this point.
Well,
and is that where it's going to stay?
What I'm saying is, you can't make a blanket statement about a character needing to show more perspective, and also you really shouldn't be showing what you feel so much as having the feelings. But that's a whole nother conversation. The bigger thing is, I think what you're saying, though, Paul, does lend itself to, you know, Christian is in itself, and you brought this up in the other piece about the beliefs that are specifically Catholic being presented as though all Christians feel that way, right? And so even with this one, you have this situation where if Peggy is an evangelical, if she's gone to evangelical Christianity with her rebirth, she might still be hanging with these women, one, because of their history, and then also because she may not want to, but she knows that it's her duty to bring them on the train. Mm-hmm. So there's so many things that are possibly at play, and they can only be filtered out once we are super clear on what the piece is, what the style is, because the style does dictate specific things.
And in other episodes that we've done, we mentioned that we have been friends since day one, even though she has, you know, gotten the faith and is much stronger than the rest of us ladies. And also, if you watch any Real Housewives shows on TV, you wonder why the hell do they keep hanging around each other, but they do, and they last for years and years and years. So,
and that's part of the fun of it. That's part of the fun of it.
Yes.
Because without conflict, without drama, why the hell are we watching?
Watching it, exactly, because you want to see where it's gonna be taken.
But what's interesting too is adding that layer of that it is a comedy. Though I do think that this specific script did take that turn into drama this time. And I think it did give us more opportunities to start to react and play more real. The very first script, Peggy was this caricature almost.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And then it started to slowly chip away. And I think that, Stephen, to your credit as a writer, I think that that's starting to happen.
Well, he also said, coming up, you're getting ready to see some of our characters take a different.
Paul, I do appreciate the more grounded reactions, though. That's
why I think so. And this is more of a note to Stephen as opposed to a response to Paul. There needs to be real clarity on what you want the piece to be, so that as you write each episode, you have a tonal continuity. And then in terms of, like Jules pointed out, and like Paul also pointed out, there being some seriousness to the topics that we talked about today, which then changed the performance style some. That, you know, dramedy is in there. So you've got your dramas, and then you got your comedy, and then you got dramedy that's in the middle. And the thing with the dramedies is they're presented as 45-minute shows. They're presented most similarly to a drama, but they have very determined times when comedy is used. Yeah. And so then it just can't be like kind of all over the place, because then it gets confusing for the people watching to understand what's going on, particularly if you present it as short form. If you're thinking of this as a mini series where each episode is only 11 minutes, it's got to be done in such a way that if someone's just joining at episode 3, they get what it is to know whether or not they want to see the next one, or go back and watch the first ones and catch up.
So what do you say, Paul? Do you want to see the next one?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Well, he could go back and watch the other one still.
So you guys are you guys giving me a homework assignment?
Yeah. Are you taking notes, Paul?
No, I just wanted
I'm
to
sending you the Zoom link right now. You can go ahead and go get it.
So I'm just saying, if at some point one of our husbands shows up on this call, Paul must need to play him.
Ah, I haven't.
Paul is the husband.
I have not thought of introducing any male characters. Huh.
Guys.
Although we have talked about a male character early on.
So there should be one that we all talk about, right? And we say all different kinds of things about him, and we don't see him until like way into the series. And then when he shows up, it's Paul, and he embodies this thing that we've been building up. Isn't that funny?
I love it.
Isn't that funny? I love comedy. So for me, everything is comedy.
Yeah.
Because in the previous episode, between Miranda and Linda, the topic of Richard was brought up.
Oh yeah, from work. Yeah.
Richard from work.
Yes.
Richard from work. Yeah.
From work.
It happened. I know a lot of you have not seen the other 2 episodes, but some of you have. What I'm curious to know, has anyone thought about who's Emily?
Emily, yeah. She is one of our friends, but she must have just, you know, from the election and everything, is still under the covers.
So eventually,
here's the real question, Stephen, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm about to put you on the spot. Do you know who Emily is? Have you already made that determination so that what you're writing is leading to something?
I'm torn.
That sounds like a no, Holmes.
I'm torn between 2 options.
Okay.
One is to bring Emily in at some point to create this dramatic arc. The other option is that she's never explained, she's never brought in, we never see her.
I think we have to see her.
Yeah, okay. But my actual question is, do you know who she is? You just talked to me about her function. But do you have a clear sense in your head of who this person is, what she means, what she embodies, how she fits into this group, and why she might be missing? Do you as the writer already know these things, or are you still trying to figure that out?
No, I've got a foundation for her. I mean, she was, you know, really into Obama. She really wanted Clinton to win, and she was devastated that Trump won. And that's one of the reasons why we haven't heard from her. She could be completely depressed. She may have gone.
Well, maybe she's at Betty Ford.
Could be.
It'd be interesting if she worked on Clinton's campaign and then disappeared after she lost.
Yes.
She's saving a bed for Jazzy. Saving a bed
Vicariously, yeah.
That is an interesting question, though.
Break her out of Betty Ford. I'm sorry.
The bar is open.
She's in rehab.
I said she's in Betty Ford.
Yeah.
What was your question?
That is an interesting question that Sean had about how much does the writer know in an early stage of a process. So I find I'm constantly asking myself that sort of question when I'm working on something. Some scripts I start with, a pretty clear arc of where it's going, and those ones are actually easier to write. But the more fun ones to write are where you start off, you've got these characters and you've got a situation and you've got a vague notion of what's going to happen or even what these characters are and what their real motivations are, but you're not really clear. And that can be really a fun way and an enjoyable way to write a script. What it means, so you have to go back later on and tidy up loose ends and do a lot of rewriting, but it's just a way of working yourself through the script without really having all the answers when you start.
And that's
sometimes I think I start too soon.
Right.
That's the key, though, Rex, what you just said about the need for being willing to rewrite. If you're going to do it on the fly, if you're going to create as you go, and there is definitely merit to doing that instead of, mapping it all out. And then for some writers, it could be sometimes they do the one, like Rex said, sometimes he does the one, sometimes he does the other. And even within a particular project, sometimes you might do the one, depending on how you're feeling that day. But if it's something that you don't have a clear sense of what's going on or who this character is, particularly when we're talking about so much, we're talking about her a lot. And so for the lines we have to make sense, she's got to be a real person. And if that's not the situation, then any writer who's making it up as they go has to be willing to go back and do some re-edits before production. Re-edit?
My original thought about Emily came from How I Met Your Mother, and the fact that in every episode they had a pineapple, and they never explained what the pineapple was for or why it was there. And I originally thought of Emily as being this person who's mentioned in every episode and would just kind of lay there and wonder if the audience would say, well, yeah, who is Emily? And they keep talking about Emily, but where is she? And what happened to her? When are we going to see her? If it would just create that kind of unexplained mystery that just kind of weaves throughout the series.
But that's why specifics about her need to be known to you, because the only way they're going to be interested in her is if there are things that we are saying about her that pique that interest. Otherwise, it's like doing an improvisation where you keep talking about a character that never shows up, and that breaks an improv rule. So yeah, so if that's your goal, and again, there's that comedy influence there. If you're using How I Met Your Mother, then she needs to be someone to you. Even if you don't have every single bit of her DNA created, she needs to at least be a specific archetype with a specific function, I think, in order for it to congeal.
Sorry.
No, you're good, Jules.
Because then for the rest of the characters, they need to know their relationship to Emily.
Also, yes.
And make those decisions and choices as well.
Yeah.
Because we can never see Emily, but we all need to know how each character feels about and that relationship.
And that's the only way the audience is going to give a damn. They won't care if we don't care. They won't know if we don't know.
Okay, something for me to think
I
of.
loved that that tool too that they use about the pineapple. I always thought that was. I was actually really disappointed that we never got to find out. That was very frustrating. But that was good.
I just auditioned for the spinoff the other day. Side note.
There's a
Yeah, the
spin-off?
How I Met Your Father. I just auditioned for that. Oh, the other day, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
How did it go?
Oh.
I mean, I didn't get it, but but it was fun it was a fun audition to do.
In person, yes?
No, honey, no. I haven't had any in person still. Everything I've had so far still is either online. Sorry, it's either a self-tape or it's a Zoom audition. But no going into the office yet. Have you been in the office?
I've had 2.
Good. Which offices?
Both callbacks.
Okay. Yeah, I just had a producer session, and even my producer session was.
To that point, it is so much different to be able to be in front of people and get that feedback. It is just, oh God, I miss laughter. I miss silence when like there's a dramatic pause.
Yeah.
So, Allison and Carol, did you enjoy it? Was it a good experience? Great. Maybe we'll see you next month. And Allison is also a writer, so maybe she will present something for us.
Yay.
Oh.
Are you more interested in plays though than features, or are you interested as long as there's a good chunk of dialogue? Like how would you like it presented?
Well, it just seems that dialogue works better on a Zoom platform because you can't have interaction between the actors. But it's really up to you. I mean, most of our actors are able to present the ideal that the characters are working with each other. I mean, Sean was in one that was Jane of the Underworld, and there was actually combat in it. So they can stretch it as long as people are willing to accept the boxes in Zoom that separate us. You know, it's really up to you. But I would not try an animation that does not have any dialogue. So we're all set, unless anybody has any other announcements.
Well, wait a minute. Is Leslie able to or willing to come back and be Linda Moore? I thought you were really good at Linda.
Thank you.
I wanted to say the same. I wanted to say the same thing, and like, I mean, I've seen you do a couple of other things in this platform too, Leslie, and I do enjoy. But in general, with the diva that you brought to her today, girl.
Yeah, really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
So the next Real Real Housewives probably won't happen until November.
God, you can't keep Jazzy boxed up like this.
Wow. Wow.
You've got a part for October.
I know, but I love Jazzy.
Jazzy Jacket.
Girl me.
Hey, nope.
Well, maybe by then we'll find out if we have an Emily in person or not. But I'm going to say if Emily shows up, she needs to be holding a pineapple. That's an inside joke for all of us.
As Patrick Swayze once said, nobody puts Jazzy in the corner.
Now. I love playing.
And even if just, not to belabor it, but even if you end up going with Emily not being an actual physical act, like an actress playing that part, to what Leslie just pointed out, even if it's not that, just you knowing her as a real person. I just realized that my use of the term real person might be getting lost on some people. I don't mean it has to be an actress. I just mean that she needs to be
because of what you just said, I just thought of something where her character is going to bring all of the other characters together.
Funeral. Sorry.
Without ever being seen.
You're gonna kill her off.
Closed casket funeral.
Oh my God.
Steven, this isn't the first Emily you're killing, are you? You killed
Maybe-
Emily in that last one that I read for you. Right?
You'll have to remind me which
Yeah.
one. Which one was that?
Where she was the kid. And she
Yeah.
didn't ride a bike.
That one was a cliffhanger too.
Emily Remains.
Emily Remains.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she died in the first 5 pages?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a
What did Emily
cliffhanger.
ever do to you?
Emily, man. All right.
What's that famous movie that opens with bringing all these college people together for the
The
funeral?
Big Chill. Big
Thank
Chill.
you.
Yes.
Big Chill.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
hey, Stephen, if it was good enough for the Big Chill, you know how well that. Maybe it's
Yeah.
good enough for the Real Housewives.
Yeah, because Kevin Costner got cut out of the movie almost completely.
And it
That's
was
true.
because of the fact that they found as the writer, if I recall correctly, said he found as he was, or the director, somebody, one of the two of them, found as they were going that having them talk about him, but us never see him, because it's his funeral that they're all there for. So when they did shoot his scene, but then it was more impactful to never actually see him. And that way you have the presence of the person, the love, the feelings that you have for the person. That was more impactful for the audience. I bet that's Jackie. I know that's Jackie.
That's me. It's getting chilly here. I gotta shut my windows. I'm not in sunny California.
Guys,
Guys,
be safe.
I'm going to say goodbye. I have to go now. But
All right.
good seeing all of you.
Good to
Good
see
hearing from you.
everybody.
Bye.
Take care, you guys.
Bye.
Pause. You
Jules,
want
I'm
to
gonna
go
video
ahead?
call you real quick.
I'll
Okay.
go ahead and post your script if you want.
Okay, I'll do it. Take it easy, buds. Take it
Bye.
easy.
See you, folks.